So at this point, it is no secret that the global economy has seen better days, and tech companies are cutting staff left and right. Even massive companies like Coinbase, OpenSea, and projects are laying off their staff. So as much as we like to think that Web3 is the most awesome place and it's isolated and it's just decentralized and not associated with anything, that is not necessarily true. However, despite these layoffs and cuts, there are still companies that are hiring. So today we're going to discuss the skills that are in high demand by these companies. Hello, I'm Taj, digitally known as Tropic Vibes, the host of Nifty Business, where we highlight NFTs and explore Web 3.0 as we move from pure speculation to creating real-world value. So in case you have not been on the search for a job recently using Indeed or one of these websites where people are actually posting the jobs, LinkedIn and so forth, you might not realize that there's a lot of Web3 posts, Web3 associated posts, whether it be NFT related, crypto related, or blockchain development related. But the skills that are most common, and the titles I should say, that are most common really fall into two categories. It's either going to be the non-tech ones or the tech-related ones, meaning that you need to have technical skills, coding, and so forth. So I'm going to discuss the ones that really require non-technical skills as far as coding. Then I'm going to get into the more technical ones. So the first thing that is just very popular at this point right now is content creators. We like to think that Web 2 is really the home of where content creators live. However, that is not true. All businesses, I don't care if you are walking dogs or you trying to get rockets onto the moon using Dogecoin, what you're trying to do is connect with people, and content is the best way to do that. So content creators are going nowhere, and these Web3 companies, it doesn't matter, large or small, they're in need of content. Written content, there's video content, audio content such as this. There is a different flavor for different people because some people just like to look at images on Instagram. Other people like short form videos. Other people like these long, lengthy videos or long podcasts, short podcasts. So there's always a demand for these content creators. And if you look on any of these job boards, you're going to see Web3 content creators in some form or another. The title might be different, media manager, outreach personnel, or whatever it is. But what it really comes down to is a Web3 content creator. And in those descriptions, they're going to be saying things like fluent in blockchain technology, fluent in NFTs, comfortable speaking about blockchain gaming, and things of that nature, because anyone that is really spending the time in this, they're really building a rapport within the community, understanding the language, knowing what's going on, they enjoy this, and they have those communication skills, whether it be video, written, or whatever it might be. That is an avenue where they're willing to hire for those things. Also, this goes into another section, which is just more than just a content creator, but there's also an influencer. Now, this is one of those quote unquote dirty words within the space. People, it's hit or miss. Either people absolutely hate influencers or they see the value in them. But I would put this in a separate category as a content creator, because an influencer is someone that really moves the needle. A content creator could be a blogger that just has 10 readers, or it could be someone that is just very niche, putting out the things, documenting their journey or whatever it is. But an influencer now is someone that really has a large following to the point where brands and companies are willing to pay them to have influence over their audience. So in that case, these companies are looking to partner with influencers, and they're looking for it exactly as influencers to partner with. And that's how they're posting these jobs. These aren't full-time jobs, full-time positions. These are usually some sort of partnership or a limited time contract or something of that nature, but they're putting those out there. So rather than working directly with the company, most likely this company will be working with you and whatever company that you have. Number 3 is the growing area that is just across the board. Even before Web3, this was an area that was really on the rise, and it's a community manager or a community leader, because the direction of business over the last 5 years or so has really shifted from just having an audience to building a community and engaging with people in a way that is just much more different than having an audience. An audience is just getting the attention of people, but a community is really a two-way communication. There's feedback going back and forth. And the best I could say is a club or something that even what we're seeing in the NFT whole space is there's people that put out these shows and they have an audience, such as the people that might be listening to this show. But as far as building a community now, they're doing that in a way where it is much more interactive. These people aren't just showing up to, let's say, hear the summary of the latest thing that I want to speak about, but they're also interacting with each other. They want to hear what the other listeners would want to say. So in that regard, I would say that I am putting out a content. I am a content creator, but as far as being a community manager or community leader, that's really not what I've been doing for the most part with this show. And that is something I need to do a lot better job of. But if you look at what, let's say, I'm doing with the work of the Hoodlum Society, especially in last year, things are a little slow right now. But we were doing a lot more community hangouts and meetups, and as far as digitally goes, we haven't really done anything in person yet. Or what I'm doing with the NFT Lime, how we're actually sitting, discussing these things that are local to the Caribbean area, how we can just dive into this whole Web3 thing. That is a lot more community manager and is back and forth. We have a WhatsApp group that we're sending information to each other in Discord and so forth. So that really is igniting the people and activating them to not just look at us who are behind the microphone or behind the camera or behind the pen or whatever it is, that we're actually as a community interacting with each other, and we're giving the tools and a way to facilitate that. So if that is you, it does not matter at this point what type of business it is, community managers are on the rise. But here's the thing. It is very hard to find them, so they usually are paid fairly well, because a good community manager is probably going to be within whatever company they're working with for a long time, because again, this is a fairly new position and it is only getting better and better, and more demand for each of these people are coming from multiple companies. You're going to see legacy companies like Ford and Chase Bank, people like that are going to be recruited because they need to build communities around whatever it is. So this is not just Web3. Now, marketing managers is something that is also on the rise as far as within Web3, because there is a communications issue. There is a lot to overcome because there's a lot of negative stigma with anything related to crypto or NFTs. So a marketing manager is going to do a lot of things, overseeing just really the communication of how that brand is being presented, and just really a lot of areas. That is really my forte as far as business, stepping out of Web3. I am really a marketing manager. So I actually will work with the brands, the customers, the community to actually see what needs to be done in order to move in the direction that we want to go as an organization. And that was what I was doing. So as far as in Web3 goes, now anything like the language that is being used, the type of initiatives that needs to be coming forth from each of these projects or companies, and how they can bridge that gap between this technology and the people itself. Believe it or not, a marketing manager is probably better suited to do that than anyone on the technical side, because at the end of the day, it is communication. And I know that might just be, kind of rubbing people the wrong way when I say things like marketing is by far the most important, even more than the tech or more than the utility or anything of that nature. But really, it comes down to, if it is not communicated and that message is not resonating to the audience or potential customers or community, then it's going to fail. It is doomed out of the gates. And that is something, it doesn't matter if it's political campaigns, if this is a Web3 business, if this is a lemonade stand, marketing is very important. So someone who is going to manage and organize the whole communications and the people to actually work together as a team to get that message out and meet the goals, that is always going to be in demand, and more so when there is such a huge gap in language as we're seeing in Web3. And of course, a project manager is going to be the nitty-gritty person. That is the one that is really overseeing the team getting the work done. That is also something not just limited to Web3, but you're seeing on the job boards a lot of those Web3 project managers. These are the type of people that have your traditional project management experience, but are also native to crypto or fluent in the language of NFTs, blockchain, gaming, and whatever it is in this whole space. Because it's one thing to find a project manager, but also a project manager that is educated and fluent in Web3 is just a unique differentiator that is going to raise up those people who are looking for project management jobs and separate them from the crowd, because this is a very competitive job market as it is. So you can put those different stipulations on there rather than, let's say, in the peak of a strong economy when everything's going, they'll say, we'll just hire someone who has project management experience and we'll train them for blockchain technology. No, at this point, there's so many people seeking these jobs, so they can specifically put, we want a project manager that is experienced and fluent in crypto and blockchain, and that's what they're doing. So now let's get over to the more technical things. These are the things that carry over and bridge well from Web 2 to Web 3. Again, this is really not an isolated thing where everyone wants to think that, oh, whatever's happening in Web 3 is just specific to Web 3. No, don't learn to be a Web 2 coder or Web 2 developer. Be a Web 3 developer. What exactly is all of that? A Web 3 developer? It's the same thing. A developer is a developer. An engineer is an engineer. A coder is a coder. So when it comes to the different types of code, now that's a different thing. There's different languages. But the sixth job that now we're getting to the more technical things that are in high demand, graphic designers. So anything from the logos, the front end of a website, just anything communicating all of that stuff. A lot of that has to be communicated visually in a way that is aesthetically pleasing. Just because you are a technical person, you understand all this, you can have the best ideas, you can have the greatest products and so forth. It has to be visually appealing. Just as I said, the marketing manager has to really communicate what's being said. The graphic designers have to put all that in a way that makes it click-worthy, that makes people want to actually look around at that. And that bridges into number 7, which is a UI designer, because we have a huge UI problem here in Web3. So this stuff is pretty technical. It is pretty clunky. And even to, let's say, onboard someone into setting up a MetaMask or any of these other wallets, it's not really the easiest process. There's some that are much better than others. However, over the year, we can see where these UI designers are making the process a lot more smooth, a lot more user-friendly, and that's what they're doing, because this is not really the easiest thing. Think of it this way. At what point can we actually say, hey, mom, just take out your phone and go set up a MetaMask? And it's just as easy as downloading, let's say, Netflix or YouTube or whatever. That's a point that we want to get to, where users can just easily set up these wallets and onboard themselves onto Web3 without a headache. And that's what UI designers are doing. And of course, we're going to get to number 8, the full stack developer. A full stack developer is someone that has the back end and front end experience. Now, there are so many different languages and so many different coding types. And of course, they say once you learn your first language, then the second one is easier. And if you're someone who has experience with Python and you have Ruby and you have C++ and JavaScript and all of these other things, which you have been using for, I don't know, for the longest time making websites and web applications, when someone wants you to learn Solidity to develop something on Ethereum or Rust for something on Solana, it's going to be that much easier for you to learn that side of things. So you just add that onto there. And as a full stack developer, of course, you're doing the front end, the actual website, how things look and how that's presented to the public. And then the back end, how things are running behind the scenes. And those jobs are in really high demand in every area. But even as these tech companies, we see the Facebooks, the Twitters, and so forth, they're laying off people left and right. And these $400,000 jobs fresh out of college or not even college, because now a lot of them are just taking technical school. Just show us your portfolio. You might have learned how to code on YouTube. Who cares? If you can build it, come on board. $400,000 right off the bat. 20 years old. Those days have, for the most part, come to an end. Now it's, $100,000, $200,000. So maybe that's rough for a 18-year-old, but no, I'm just kidding. I mean, that's very good. Depending where you are. If you're in San Francisco, I guess $100,000 might as well be on the poor line or whatever. But where I am, for example, in Jamaica, $100,000, if you're a coder and you're getting that much money, that's substantial. Full stack developers, yeah, you might not be getting that $500,000 from Google anymore, but you might get a couple $100,000 from these Web3 companies that are upstart. And hey, you might even get equity in the company and stuff. So, you never know exactly where this could go. They're definitely hiring in that regards. And lastly, I'm going to go to this data analyst, because all of this stuff, which is pretty cool as far as being able to see everything that's happening, all these transactions and wallets and everything is open. It is a constant ledger. And as long as someone has an internet connection, you can get so much data. And if you thought you can get a lot of data within Web 2, it's even more data in Web 3, in the sense that the data in Web 2 was locked behind walls. In other words, that you'd have to rely on the data that Facebook or Amazon or Google or whichever company was collecting. But in Web 3, now you can plug into the blockchain to really figure out anything that you want to figure out, whether it is the activity of a particular token or if it is a particular wallet, how they're trading. There's whale trackers. There's a lot of things out there. And there's just so much data readily available. It is just there for everyone to access it. The beauty of this whole Web3 ecosystem. However, someone has to sort out through all of that. If you listen to yesterday's episode when I was speaking about how within the crypto tech women, there was that whole project of looking at all the trends and looking at the numbers of how flippers can see these various signals within the market, that's data analytics, right? So now a data analyst is someone who's going to gather that stuff, sift through that, interpret them, and then be able to present them in a visual way. So whether that is a pie chart or some sort of nice presentation, a data analyst is going to be able to relay that in a way that is usable, because there's too much data at this point. However, the data is useless without it being interpreted, being presented in a user way. Sort of like how there is computer readable things and then there's human readable things. Well, a data analyst is going to make all that jargon and all those numbers and spreadsheets into a human readable thing that has value as soon as they look at it. And because of that, they are going to be paid very well. So those are the things that I'm seeing a lot show up on these job boards and LinkedIn, and even in Discords. Actually, these people or these companies and projects are looking for people to do these types of jobs. So hopefully you find this interesting, and if not for you, for someone else, pass that on. There is jobs in Web3. They're still hiring. It's not all doom and gloom in the space. Things are still being built and people are still being recruited and hired. Up to today, I'm seeing some very fresh posts. So this is not old information. This is brand new posts that are up there, and some of these things that I read off are being listed right now. So I'd love to know, what are your thoughts on that? Do you have experience with any of these? What exactly are you looking for if you are looking to get into this industry? If there's anything you'd like to know, maybe I have additional information that I might have left off of this presentation, please feel free to reach out to me at Tropic Vibes or using the contact information in the show notes. But as usual, I just want to thank you for taking the time to listen to this as we're learning and building Web3 together. So until next time, later. The Nifty Business Arrow is not investment advice. It provides insights and information within the space. As with anything, please do your own research before making a decision whether you're making an investment or a purchase.